Hey everyone, Zen Guardian here, and today I have a little bit of a controversial topic for you guys. It's one that I've been thinking about quite a bit recently, and one that I don't think a lot of people have paid a lot of attention to, and that is exclusive PlayStation content, yet again, coming in Destiny 2. Now, a lot of people haven't really noticed this, mainly because it wasn't in the initial reveal trailer that they showed yesterday for Destiny 2, but after they actually debuted that trailer, the PlayStation Store uploaded another video where they had just a few more seconds tacked on to the end of it where it said, play exclusive content only on PlayStation, or something along those lines, and letting us know that PlayStation will have, yet again, exclusive content for Destiny. Now, there's just a couple things that I wanted to talk about with this. Most of you guys know I play Destiny on Xbox One, so of course, I've always kind of been on the opposite side of this. It's never really been a problem personally for me. I totally understand console exclusivity. Xbox had it for years with Call of Duty and Battlefield and stuff like that, and it's always kind of had a place in the gaming industry. These publishers pay a lot of money to get their hands on this kind of stuff, and it's nice to have that console already and to have those little buffs, something that you didn't have to even think about at first, and just because you bought a console, you have that exclusivity. I understand that that can be a good feeling for a lot of people, and for me personally, back when I used to play Call of Duty and stuff like that, it was always nice to get things a little bit earlier on Xbox and have a little bit more time with things and try things out for before other people got it. But at the same time, it is something where a lot of people aren't getting access to this content, and a lot of people are feeling very sour and negative about it, and that's kind of been the case with Xbox players on Destiny. Now, up first, I want to talk about the possibilities and what kind of things that they may do with the exclusive content in Destiny 2 for the PlayStation. Now, if we look at what they did in the past with Destiny content, it was always exclusive weapons, an exclusive strike, and some armor sets, maybe a ship, and it would last for upwards of a year. And I think right there is the biggest issue with this exclusive content and this deal on PlayStation. It's just the duration of time. Destiny is a live game. It's an always online game. It's a game that is ever changing and ever rotating. Guns are becoming new. Guns are becoming better. Guns are becoming irrelevant. Things change. Metas change. And unfortunately, Destiny becomes an entirely different beast, at least at a meta standpoint, within a year. There's multiple patches usually. There's content added. There's content that becomes irrelevant. There's so many things that change, and when you have that exclusive content for that long, it almost negates the ability for that other console to be able to try out those weapons and have fun with them at a time where they're at their best. Case in point, we look at Hawkmoon. Now, this was a weapon that was exclusive to PlayStation at the launch of Destiny. So at the launch of Destiny, Xbox players had no way of getting their hands on the Hawkmoon. It was one of those things that before the game was actually released, players knew that they would get their hands on this weapon and knew that it would be exclusive, but of course, not playing the game, you didn't know exactly how powerful it was going to be. Once the game was actually released, Hawkmoon was an absolute animal, one of the best weapons you could play with in year one, definitely a Crucible Slayer, definitely a top tier weapon. Then by the time Xbox players got it a year later with the Taken King, it wasn't extinct, but it definitely wasn't at its peak. And the Xbox players were so excited to get their hands on the Hawkmoon, it was going to be a great thing, but unfortunately it was a lackluster weapon, and there were so many other things that plagued the game that just didn't allow it to shine in the way that it did in year one Destiny. Now, you could argue that players just got better over time, and that's why, but there were specific nerfs that happened not only to that gun particularly, but hand cannons as well. And like I said, by the time Xbox players got their hands on it, it just wasn't that workhorse weapon that it was. Now, another weapon that I've been still hoping to get my hands on at some point very soon with Xbox is the Jade Rabbit. This is another weapon where I've seen gameplay, and I've seen a lot of people that really enjoy this weapon. It's definitely a great weapon. Might not be top tier necessarily, but who knows what's to come in the next even 5 months of the game by the time we may get our hands on it on Xbox. It could be a very good weapon at that time. Maybe they nerf it, maybe they nerf scout rifles, and we just never will get to understand how good that weapon was, especially at its peak. So I think if anything, it's the amount of time that this exclusivity lasts that is the bigger issue when it comes to this specific Destiny content. Now, some people people would argue that they should do away with exclusive content altogether, but that's just not going to happen, and that's not a reality that I think anyone can bet on. These publishers, like I said, they pay a ton of money to have this exclusivity, and especially with a game as big and as popular and as community driven as Destiny, there's no way that PlayStation would ever let go of that. The only way that they would ever be able to stop that is if Microsoft paid double or triple whatever the sum of that particular content is and got it for themselves. So either way, Xbox or PlayStation, someone's gonna have exclusive Destiny content, most likely for the remainder of the franchise, and it's just gonna have to be something that we get used to. Most likely, PlayStation's gonna hold on to it. Of course, that depends on the popularity of the game, but overall, I think no matter what, we're gonna have to deal with this. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is how they might implement it in Destiny 2. And in Destiny 2, I really do think that they're going to remain to do the same thing that they do now. I think it might be a couple weapons, probably a strike or two. I don't think they would ever lock behind something as big and as important as a raid, but of course you'll have your usual crucible maps, armor sets, that kind of thing, but I don't think it'll last upwards of a year. Now let me know in the comment section down below, how long do you think it would last? Do you think that they would really go and do what they did this time and hopefully just notice the mistake that was having it go on for an entire year, or do you think that they'll shorten it, kind of like what Xbox always had with Call of Duty, and have things come out maybe a month, maybe even 2 months, even 3 months is kind of still too long. I really feel like a month exclusivity on certain things is really appropriate. It still gives everyone in that community that feeling of, yeah, I got a nice exclusive thing. I bought a PlayStation, so I got this awesome weapon. These Xbox guys have to wait for it. Like, I feel dope. I get that, and it still gives them that feeling, and it definitely fades after a year's time. Like, that person doesn't still feel that way. They probably have moved on to a new weapon. They probably moved on to something that they really enjoy or something like that. So I can't see that being a driving factor for that. And I honestly don't understand how they ever landed on a full year's time with exclusive content. It just, to me, it doesn't make any sense. That's a very long time, especially when you're talking about a game as active and as constant and ever changing as Destiny. Now, even though Destiny 2 has been officially announced, we have no idea exactly what's coming. We don't know if exotics will make a return. We don't know if our favorite armor pieces and stuff like that will make a return. That we'll have to wait and see. But if we go on all the old information and rumors that we've heard, Destiny 2 is going to be all new things and all new weapons and all new stuff. So with that being said, I'm really hoping that they don't do the same exclusive content that they've done in the past and put things like exotics and important armor pieces, and who knows, even materials at this point could be considered exclusive content in the sequel. We just don't know, but I'm really hoping that they don't put the kinds of things that change the player experience and change over time as exclusive content. For me, if it has to be done, which of course it is, I would say put crucible maps, maybe some cosmetic stuff like shaders and ships, that kind of stuff should be as exclusive content. But I think even strikes are taking it a step too far, because there's always those strikes that you want to play as nightfalls, or you know, you want to get certain drops for, or you want to be super relevant in endgame, and they aren't because they're exclusive to one console. So that's kind of been everything that I wanted to say about the PlayStation exclusive content coming to Destiny 2. Obviously, they're going to reveal it sometime down the line. And like I said, I'm just hoping that it isn't anything that Xbox players have a disadvantage not having or not being able to experience, specifically with weapons when they're at their best. Because like I said, with Hawkmoon and Jade Rabbit and even things like Zen Meteor, we're just never going to be able to play with them at their peak. And that really does kind of burn. And I know every Xbox player feels exactly the same, especially when it comes to Destiny, because as a community, we're all just as passionate. And you know, all that console war stuff to the side, we're having a very specific discussion about exclusive content, and this has nothing to do with Xbox versus PlayStation. This has nothing to do with power or who's better or anything like that. This is an entire community that loves and plays one game, and how this kind of content actually does shape the experience. And of course, with these kind of discussion videos, I leave the topic up to you guys. Make sure you leave a comment down below and let me know exactly how you feel with all of this. Do you think that they should return and continue to do the exact same stuff by putting exotic weapons and strikes and crucible maps and all this stuff a whole year in advance before the other console gets it. And don't forget, now that Destiny's coming to PC players will also be missing out on a lot of this exclusive content. There's a lot more gamers that aren't going to be messing around with some of this stuff that PlayStation players will be. So just with all of that being said, how do you think it should be implemented? We do have confirmation that it's happening. So in what ways do you think that it's fair for everyone to implement exclusive content? Obviously, the PlayStation gamers will have that upper hand and have those little buffs and perks, but as long as it's cosmetic stuff and things that don't actually change the tide of the experience, then I think it's okay. Destiny isn't really the kind of game like Call of Duty to have a map pack 30 days early. It is much more of physical items that they can tie to exclusive content, and that's where it really gets finicky and that's where it really gets controversial. So definitely let me know how you guys feel about all of this down below. If you did enjoy the video, hit it with a thumbs up. It really does help the channel grow. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe on your way out, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. It's been ZG. I'm out.